bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the Fish Report, hanging at the Fish Report, hanging at the Fish Report. You got Craig and TK and FFT tuned in at the Fish Report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Welcome, folks, to another Fish Report Live. Thanks for joining us. I'm Craig Fissinger. That is Ken Francis. Back in our sound room tonight, it's just TK, and that's because Heavy D has the week off. Ken, another fun night on FRL. We're going to talk lots of girls and boys hoops. We're going to break down the girls' tournament brackets over there in Sydney this weekend, and we're going to talk to the head coach of one of the most exciting teams in the Shelby County Athletic League.
Yes, we are really looking forward to breaking down these tournament brackets, Craig. Going to review a little bit of the Shelby County League standings for the year, look at those, and, kind of pick who we feel is going to be the top teams to get out of that Sydney sectional on the girls' side. And I'm sure we'll also talk some boys basketball, Craig, and really looking forward to talking to the head coach of the Fairlawn Jets, Craig. He's in his 5th season at the helm of the Jet program, and that's Justin Tidwell. He's got a great team this year. They're exciting to watch. He's coming in at 17-3 right now. One of the top teams in the area, Craig, and he's got some really electric players over there, and they can get it up and down the floor, and they sure do play hard.
Yeah, that 17-3 record he's got over there. I went back and looked, and it's been a while since Fairlawn's had 17 wins. I think you had to go back to the 03-04 season before they've had 17 wins. And then you get past that, this is a team that's certainly going to win 18, 19, 20 games this year the way it looks. And if they do that, it's been a long, long time since a Fairlawn program's won that many games.
Yes, it has been, Craig. And you look at their tournament bracket, you look at their tournament draw, and who knows, how far they can go. And speaking of how far they can go, it's brings to us our trivia question for the night. And of the 4 powerhouse teams, there's 4 really good basketball teams in that Piqua sectional. We're talking boys sectional at Piqua High School. Which of these 4 teams, Craig, does our listeners feel will go the furthest? Is it the Shelby County League champions, the Russia Raiders, the Fairlawn Jets that we just spoke about, the Fort Loramie Redskins, or the Jackson Center Tigers? Which of those 4 teams will go the furthest in this year's tournament trail?
Yeah, great poll question for tonight, Ken. And if you're watching us live right now on the Fish Report Live page, you can scroll down, help us answer tonight's poll question. If you're watching us on NK Telco or Game Face Ohio, we will have those results for you at the end of the show. All right, Ken, well, let's get things started talking a little girls basketball first. And last week, I think I said it was the last time we were going to look at the regular season standings. Well, there's one more game left to play on Thursday night. Fairlawn's got a game. So let's take one more look at those SCAL standings and see where the girls are at.
Well, like we mentioned, the Jackson Center Tigers, congratulations. They won the Shelby County League Championship. Fine year, Craig, at 11-1. Coach Reese did a dynamic job with the Redskins over there. And Russia Raiders, also a great year at 9-3. Fort Loramie there on 8-4, and Bokkens at 7-5. So those were the top 4 teams in the Shelby County League. Craig, also the top 4 teams in the Sydney sectional, and all very well deserving of the accolades that they've received this year. Some really fine lady basketball teams.
Yeah, just one more game left. Like I said, on Thursday night, Fairlawn goes over to Mechanicsburg, 2 teams that are going to be playing actually in tournament in the Sydney sectional, and Fairlawn actually plays as soon as Saturday already. So let's go back to the sound room. I want to bring in TK back there, get him involved in this conversation. And TK, you ready to talk a little Sydney D4 girls sectional with us?
Oh yeah, always ready to talk a little girls tournament basketball. A great time of the year.
All right, well, let's get things started with that girls section. We want to take a look at the Sydney upper first, guys. Let's look at that first, and let's get that on the screen for our viewers. And let's get things started with a Shelby County matchup. You got Bokkens and Houston, and it looks like a pretty good game, guys. Although Bokkens won both of these regular season games, 52-47 and 44-32. Guys, Bokkens actually hasn't played a game since February 6th. They were supposed to have a game against Waynesville Goshen on February 9th. That game was, I guess, postponed or canceled, whatever you want to say. But kind of a long time in between games for Bokkens. What do you think about this matchup?
Well, Craig, from going back, looking at their schedule throughout the year, they're kind of getting used to these long breaks between games. This is the second or third time they've had some really long breaks. So I think Botkins is, I've kind of been up and down on Botkins all year. They've had some big wins. They've also had some games, that they lost that they probably shouldn't have. But, I think they're going to be too much for Houston. I think they got some really nice players over there. They got good size. They got a really tall point guard. I think it makes them tough to defend. And, I think Botkins has got a pretty good tournament draw here, and I look for them actually to beat Houston and then also to advance past Troy Christian.
I think if anybody has a chance, Houston has to play the game of the year, and they can make the upset. As you said earlier, Craig, it was a 5-point and an 8-point victory by Botkins during the season. So Houston has to take something away from that and think they got a shot, but I think maybe Ken's right. Botkins comes in here, and Houston might not have enough unless they play the game of the year on this one.
Well, guys, Botkins, of course, has I call them the big three over there, Sarah Bergman, Paige Lane, and Jenna Pitts, three very good players over there. But Houston is a team that's capable of an upset. I mean, they beat Anna and New Knoxville, two good teams. Of course, that happened earlier this year. I want to say maybe back in December, as a matter of fact. But, again, should be a good game. I think it's going to be a good game. And then, of course, if the winner of that game, Botkins-Houston, goes over to Troy Christian, there's a team that I think they finished 16-6 during the regular season, third place in the Metro Buckeye Conference behind two schools, Miami Valley and Legacy Christian. Don't know much about those two schools, but I do know Troy Christian has a 6'2" senior that leads them in scoring, so that might be a nice matchup against a girl like Sarah Bergman, for example.
It might be, Craig, but I guarantee Troy Christian has not played near the caliber of competition any of these teams in this Pickle or Sydney sectional have played, and look for the winner, look for Botkins, I feel, to win a couple tournament games here.
Get out there to the end. All right, let's go to that bottom side of the bracket where we see Jackson Center taking on Fairlawn. I think that's an easy call for us guys. Jackson Center very strong, and then probably getting by a Mississinawa Valley team, I'm going to imagine pretty easy, and that puts the matchup there with Jackson Center perhaps taking on a Botkins, and Botkins lost to Jackson Center by just 3 points earlier this season and 6 points in the other games, so is that the matchup you're looking forward to?
I believe so, Craig. You look at Jackson Center's bracket, lower bracket there, and I guess that's the advantage of being the number one seed. But the two teams they're going to have to play there, Craig, are right now a combined 1-41.
Yeah. I don't see any problem with Jackson getting out the end of that. But I think it poses an interesting matchup in the sectional finals, an all Shelby County matchup, of course. But looks like a good game.
Well, when you play a team 3 times, there's no secrets left. And that's one great thing about the Shelby County League. When you meet each other for that third time in the sectional tournament, always creates a big buzz. And like I said, there's no secrets anymore left on either one of them two teams.
TK, you've talked about, I know, Jackson Center a few times this season, and they've got not just one weapon over there, they got several weapons.
Yeah, they've got, of course, Cassie Meyer. Seems like we've been talking about her forever between volleyball and basketball. Just a dynamic athlete. A couple others there, Clark, Kessler, and Elkert, of course. Always know the Elkert name over there. The Kessler girl playing the post against Russia seemed to have shut her down, but they still, of course, won that game against Russia. But lately in these last couple of games, she's been scoring a lot, making her presence even more known. So that's going to be probably the key for Botkins, how to control them underneath. Botkins seemed to suffer early in the year with their guard play. Maybe that's coming back around, and they're handling the ball a little bit better. So this will be an interesting game to see how that turns out for Botkins, and can they handle Jackson's total team effort there with all the athletes that they do have there.
Yeah, so we're picking an all Shelby County sectional final there. Let's go to the Sydney lower bracket. If we could bring that up right now, we'll start there at that first game on Saturday at 2 o'clock, and that is Fort Laramie versus Riverside, guys. Fort Laramie actually lost 3 of the last 4 games. Of course, they've been against good teams, Jackson Center, Russia, and Marion Local, 3 of those 4 losses. Riverside's got a 5'10" junior by the name of Marissa Davis. In a game last week against Triad, guys, she had 12 points, 18 rebounds. And I did a little research on her. I think volleyball is probably her best sport, but a pretty good basketball player, too. Any thoughts on Laramie versus Riverside?
Well, Craig, I think Coach Siegel is going to have her kids ready to play. I don't think Riverside's going to have near the power to control Fort Laramie. I've seen Fort Laramie girls play a couple times this year. Coach Siegel's got a very young team, but still had a very nice year. But I look a little bit past that game to Ansonia. Now this is a team here that Craig actually has given some pretty good teams some trouble this year. I'm not saying they're going to have near enough firepower to beat the Redskins, but Ansonia, the lady running animals there are not your typical CCC squad in girls basketball. They actually got a pretty good team there, and Lorimer will have to come to play.
Yeah, they're a team that actually finished right at 500, 11-11 in the regular season, 6-6 in the CCC, and haven't got a chance to watch them play. It sounds like you know a little bit more about them than I do, Ken. But it poses an interesting matchup if they've played some teams competitively. But Fort Laramie, I just give the nod to them because they're in the SCAL.
They're Fort Laramie. They're Coach Siegel. They've got a dynasty over there, and look for the Redskins to advance out to the sectional final.
All right, TK, let's look at the bottom side of that bracket there. You got Lehman versus Russia, and the Cavaliers have a 4-year varsity player in Hannah Fote. Talking about a recent game, she had 14 points and 11 rebounds in their last regular season game against Troy Christian. They also have another good sophomore girl by the name of Grace Monin that's capable of scoring in double figures. What's your thoughts on the Raiders, how they're playing right now?
Obviously, the Raiders are playing well, coming off that victory over on the road at Fort Laramie. Got to go see that one. Very nice victory for the Raiders over a much improved Laramie team. As you're saying, Coach Siegel knows how to take a team and understand their strengths and build on it. She's got a nice team there, but the Raiders coming off of that, they'll have to pay attention to Lehman, but I think they'll come away with the victory. The girls' side seems like the boys. You never know who's going to score the points. They're a tough team to defend against, and playing really good man-to-man defense, real good help defense. I think probably a little too much for Lehman, but the Raiders will have to be careful, and they'll probably get out of that without a concern.
I got to tell our viewers before we came on air tonight, we were actually talking about the girls Shelby County Player of the Year, and I was throwing out, we talked Jackson Center. I was throwing out Cassie Meyer. I know you guys are pretty high on Maria Heron there at Russia, and certainly 2 stars there, and looking for them to shine at this time of the season, aren't we?
Absolutely, and like TK said back, I think Rushie's going to be too strong for Lehman, but that second game, if I'm Coach Timmerman, if I'm looking for a trap game right there, that's the Mechanicsburg game. Mechanicsburg girls, they're 11-8. Craig, they've 2 of those losses are to one of the best teams in Ohio in West Liberty Salem. And I think Rushie's going to have too much for Mechanicsburg, but honestly, you cannot be looking past any of these games in that Rushie portion of that lower bracket. Anytime you got the Dodane girls and the Coach Dodane for the Indians over there at Mechanicsburg, not a bad team. Coach Timmerman's going to have to stay focused on this lower half of this sectional.
You were joking about it the other week, saying that they had a Dodane, and they do have a Dodane over there. Michaela Dodane, a senior, actually just scored her 1,000th point this past weekend. So sure enough, they got the coach and the player, and I agree. That's a game that. And one thing about Mechanicsburg, I remember talking to their head coach there several years ago, and it was one of those Februaries where there was a lot of snow, and she told me, she goes, I don't know why we come to this Sydney sectional for mechanics. She goes, it took us an hour and a half to get here, and when you think about it, it is kind of puzzling. Everyone else is fairly close, I guess you say, but Mechanicsburg, they got a pretty good travel there from to Sydney.
Yes, they do.
So, and guys, of course, that puts us into the last game there, that Fort Laramie Russia game. Wouldn't we love to see another one of those matchups? And you can, of course, during tournament, you always throw the records out the window, but that would be a good matchup. Another all Shelby County League final.
Absolutely. I look for the top 4 in the Shelby County League all to advance out to their sectional finals.
All right, that would be good stuff. And with that, that's going to wrap up our girls basketball talk. We're going to take a short break, but stay right there. When we come back, we're going to talk some boys basketball, including that interview with Fairlawn head coach Justin Tidwell.
Stage at the leaving van. music starts at 8 o'clock. You can find us here every Wednesday night. It's usually the same cats every week, but I can't tell you all their names. A teacher, a cat, and a junkie, all waiting for time to play. Everybody here's got something that we're trying to leave behind. We're all a little broken, looking for a place to hide. Get no answers, don't ask any questions. We're all here just looking for a high. And we're all beautifully broken here tonight.
Welcome back to the second half of Fish Report Live. Before the break, we were talking some girls basketball. Going to change gears now, talk a little boys basketball. And Ken, I know tournament draw was this past weekend. We're excited to talk about that. Not going to get to that quite yet. Maybe a little bit more into that next week, but still a little bit of regular season left to go. But the SCAL title has been decided, hasn't it?
Yes, it has, Craig. That was all decided last Friday night. And for those of our listeners out there that do subscribe to the local newspaper around here but did not see it in the paper, it's because it wasn't in the paper. But the Russia Raiders did win the Shelby County League Championship last Friday night, beating Fairlawn in a very great basketball game. Russia right now sitting at 10-1 in the league. Fairlawn and Fort Loramie both there 2 games back with just 1 game to play. So congratulations to Coach Cadonier and his Russia Raiders winning arguably one of the best small school basketball leagues in the state of Ohio this year. And, it's been very competitive with Fairlawn, Fort Loramie, Anna, Jackson Center, all the way down to the bottom. But again, congratulations to the Raiders.
Yeah, pretty exciting to look at those records, Ken. You look at those overall records, Russia at 15-4, and then you got Fairlawn sitting out there at 17-3. Your second place team is 17-3, pretty impressive. Of course, they're led by head coach Justin Tidwell. We're happy to have him live on the phone right now. Coach, welcome to Fish Report Live, and thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you for getting a hold of me and letting me come on the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, listen, congrats on a fantastic season so far. We just mentioned you're 17-3 right now, and I was doing a little research, Coach. Had to go way back in the record book since the last time the Fairlawn program has had such a winning season or put up that number of wins. This is your 5th season as head coach there. How does this rank compared to the last 4 seasons?
This has been pretty good season for us. In my tenure here, 5 years, we've had 2 16-win seasons, and obviously we are at 17 now, and we have a chance to get 2 more. Every night we've been getting tested by everybody in the county. It's been fun. Best thing about this team is their work ethic and intensity all year. They continue to play hard regardless of the score, and you really have to appreciate that as a fan and as a coach.
Well, listen, it's no secret that an obvious part of your success this year is senior Nathan Lessing, a guy that's averaging almost 30 points a game. But besides Nathan, Coach, what are some, I guess, less obvious parts of your success over there this season?
Nathan is a special player, that is for sure. But everybody on our team has to have a big night for us to get to 17 wins. And we've had big games from Luke Hickman, Nick Bradigam, Drew Bradigam, Josh Reck, and Keyshawn Johnson and Cody Kurtner. I feel like when we came over there Friday night, we had good effort from all of those guys and was able to have a good fight with Russia.
Coach, hi, this is Ken Francis, and first of all, let's talk a little bit about the rest of the regular season. You got 2 games left this weekend. You host Anna on Friday night. That'll be your last home game of the year. Do you have anything special? You have a senior night, I assume, over there. What are you doing special for this nice group of seniors that you have there at Fairlawn High School?
We will have a little ceremony before the varsity game. I expect it to be a little emotional, obviously, Friday night with this being their last home game. This is a great group of young men, and I'm excited to see what their future holds for them.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about the tournament draw that took place last Sunday. You came into the tournament draw as the number 2 seed. Congratulations on that. Like Craig said, you've had a great year, and your team is a lot of fun to watch. You guys really play hard. Definitely well deserving of that number 2 seed. Did the tournament bracket fall similar to the way you thought it would, or did some things kind of get shaken up that surprised you?
Thank you for congratulating us with the number 2 seed. The tournament draw, it's always very interesting every year. We go down to tournament draw. We usually have a plan in place, and hopefully the chips fall the right way for our team, and I feel like this year might have done that for us.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about the game last Friday night at Rushi's Gymnasium. Again, just a great game to watch. It was one of them games that when you watch it, when you're playing in it, when you're coaching in it, honestly, it was just too bad that somebody had to lose the game. I really mean that. It was just a great fought basketball game between 2 very good basketball teams. What was the emotions like in the locker room after the game? I'm sure it was extremely difficult for your team. How did you handle them, and what positive can you bring away from that game?
That was a fun atmosphere playing, that is for sure. I know the boys enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it as well, along with my coaching staff. Without diving into any details, really, we just shared with them that they played with great energy and great effort that game. I was something for them to be proud of. I was proud of them for playing with that kind of energy and effort. And then we told the boys, though, the nice thing about our schedule is we turn around, we had to play Lincoln View Saturday night, which was a quality opponent as well, and we needed the same type of energy and effort out of them Saturday night.
Coach, one last thing before I turn it back to Craig, and just a comment. Another congratulations on you coached the most prolific scorer in the history of Shelby County League basketball for 4 years. I haven't had a chance to personally talk to Nathan Lessing yet, but when I do, obviously I'm going to congratulate him on just a phenomenal career. It had to be a lot of fun just to work with a kid that plays with that much intensity and just has the drive to do everything the right way.
Yeah, I'm with Ken on that one, Coach. And I actually got to tell you a story here real quick. We were leaving that game on Friday night, and I've got a son that's in the 6th grade that is a basketball nut. And as we were leaving the game, we were getting in my vehicle, and he said, "Dad, you know that Nathan Lessing?" He says he's got good sportsmanship, and I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And he said, he was helping Rushi players up. He said he was he goes, he scores and he doesn't make a big scene or nothing like that. And in this day and age where these kind of kids, those at that age, look up to, the college players and the NBA players, I told him, in all honesty, I said, there's a guy you can look up to. And I said, that guy plays basketball the right way, in my opinion. And I wanted to ask you, what's it like to coach a kid like that for the last 4 years?
Nothing short of special. Nothing short of special. I mean, he's a very humble kid. He's a phenomenal young man. He's a great teammate. I think he's living proof for youngsters like your son that hard work and dedication does pay off. I'm excited to see what his future holds for him as well. I know he's committed to go to UNOH to play basketball, and I see nothing but great things from him there as well.
Coach, listen, from Fish Report, the 4 of us here, honestly, just congratulations on a great season and best of luck down the tournament trail. I know you're awful busy right now preparing for games, and we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us on our show tonight.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Coach.
Absolutely.
All right, that was the head coach of the Fairlawn Jets, Justin Tidwell. And Ken, I know back when the season started, we were talking about this upcoming season in the league, and I think we thought maybe one of really 5 teams could actually win the county. Of course, as you mentioned, Rushi came out on top, but really it was there were 4 or 5 teams that were capable this year, weren't there?
Yes, there was, and Fairlawn was one of those teams we talked about, Craig, clear back in November as being one of the best teams in the Shelby County League. Along with Rushi, Fort Loramie, Fairlawn Jackson Center, and Anna was kind of a wild card there, but it was just a great league this year. It was fun to watch. I got to see all the teams play a couple times, and that's what makes the Shelby County League so special. You got that home and home series, and you know, it's tough to beat anybody a couple times in one season, and all the coaches know each other and the kids know each other, and just makes for some dynamic basketball and just a whole bunch of fun.
Yeah, you know, and last Friday when that game at Russia against Fairlawn, as bad as I wanted to win that game as a Russia fan, I told my wife sitting next to me, I said, enjoy watching Nathan Lessing. I said, you're looking at probably the greatest scorer in the history of Shelby County playing right now. It might be the last time we get to see him play. I said, enjoy him while you can. So,
yep, you know, he finished with over 2,000 career points and counting. You know, who knows how high he's going to go up on the chart, but you know, just a special kid, a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, he sure was. And with that, that'll end our boys basketball talk. Although we do have tonight's poll question, and I want to go back to the sound room again. I know TK is actually getting a little help back there. He did a great job there before the break, but getting a little help with Heavy D out. And let's check in with those sound room guys. There's our full-time, part-timer. He's been working for us for what?
Since our first show.
Since I think he's about 6 years old or something like that. But
he's old dependable. When we need somebody, Ross steps in. So thanks a bunch, Ross. I appreciate it.
That's been fun. That's the basketball nut I think I was referring to a little earlier there. But while Ross is running our equipment there, we're going to have TK check on tonight's poll question. Ken, why don't you read it for our viewers again real quick?
For our viewers out there listening or watching tonight, which of these top 4 boys basketball teams from the Pickles sectional will advance the furthest in the tournament? Is it Russia, Fairlawn, Fort Loramie, or Jackson Center? TK, what's the viewers saying out there?
First I got to ask if Ross, did you vote tonight?
No, I actually forgot to vote. So
you forgot to vote. You know, it's your right to vote, and you forgot. But oh well. What do we got, TK?
All right. Looks like the locals came out, and Russia gets 79% of the vote. For people feeling they're going to go the furthest, second is Fairlawn, and third place is Fort Loramie. So, yeah, the hometown crowd came out tonight, even though Ross wasn't one of them, and everybody thinks, at least around here, the Raiders are going to go the furthest.
Well, you know, good choice there. I hope they're right. And, you know, just four great options there, 4 really good basketball teams, 4 great coaches, and 4 really good communities that love to support their teams.
Yeah, we'll get more into that Pickle sectional bracket next week and see if we can get 4 Shelby County teams in the finals there as well, like we predicted on the girls' side. We'll talk about that more next week. But until then, I do want to say special thanks to Coach Tidwell for joining us tonight. Special thanks to the viewers out there for tuning in. As always, Ken and I and the crew will all be back again next week. Same time, same place. Until then, have a great rest of the week, and good night, everyone.
Hanging at the fishing pole, hanging at the fishing pole, hanging at the fishing pole, hanging at the fishing pole. For your latest news and high school sports, tune in to the fishing pole. Don't need no bed, don't need no pole when you tune in to the fishing pole, hanging at the fishing pole.